On the podcast tonight, I'm joined tonight by Education Minister Erica Stanford in the studio for an exclusive one-on-one chat about the gutsy and overdue call to dump NCEA in our schools. NCEA, introduced in 2002. Across 23 long years and wasted years, and 9 ministers, we've sat by and watched hundreds of thousands of our kids go through this failed system. These kids have been able to game the system, get credits for doing not much, and they've passed before the end of year exams, so they don't bother to show up or don't care. So hopeless qualification, not recognised by anyone. And finally, a minister with a plan, some guts, and with a ton of ambition for our kids and our young teenagers has acted, and decisively so. So well done and welcome to the program.
Are we paying these people to front up, or are we paying them to fly to Wellington to eat their lunch? Should you really lose your career for refusing to take part in a 90-minute lesson about Māori culture? This government doesn't actually have any idea how to get economic growth. Show us what you made of, Prime Minister.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan, Garner.
Okay, you're the Editor-in-Chief. Good evening, everybody. I'm Duncan, Garner. Welcome along. And Erica Stanford will join us shortly. Please subscribe. Most useful, most helpful. Keeps us around for a little bit longer. For 23 years, teenagers going through years 11, 12 and 13, it's Form 5, 6 and 7 for the old folk, have been guinea pigs in a failed system. Sadly, it's taken 23 years to realise that the game is up. NCEA is a debacle. Not worth the paper it's written on, confusing for everyone, and it's meant that kids can game it, get easy credits. Parents have no idea what excellence and achieved and merit means. It's a wishy-washy, flaky, good-for-nothing qualification that's largely seen everyone pass. No one fails. Everyone's a pass. Exams didn't matter, and employers say that those school leavers turning up for jobs are woefully underprepared, even in the basics. It's embarrassing that it's gone on for this long, so it's been dumped. And in many ways, it's a return to the basics and the old days. Many of us will remember, like sitting exams, retaining and learning knowledge and the basics and putting yourself to the test in the end of year exams. So let's go.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, I got to say, I was at this morning's press conference with Christopher Luxon and Erica Stanford and the business community as well. Employers, top local principals, of course, many parents are in there as well, in the room. And I've got to tell you, Stanford is one hell of a politician. And there's a couple of things that set her apart from the 9 other education ministers that have all overseen this failed NCEA system. None of them had the guts or ambition to change it like she is. It's a big piece of work. I'll name those 9 ministers shortly. But make no mistake, this is a huge piece of work. Only a handful of our very best and brightest and hard-working ministers could stomach such a long-term change project. And given all the risks, many politicians would simply not even turn up or commit at all to do this sort of thing. But not Stanford. You can hear and see the passion and knowledge that she has in this education space already. She's a mother of 2. And she's had they've had no idea. She's had no idea as a mother how to navigate NCEA like so many of us. I mean, she's in the same boat. I predict this will be widely supported by parents right across the country. It's a return to old school in many ways. Exams will now matter. You'll get marks like A, B, C, and D. The deliberate confusion in the reporting of teaching and testing has bordered on state negligence for 23 years. NCEA, we know, has been a weak and confusing mess that tells us nothing, teaches our kids less, and it fails no one except society itself. But no one until now has dared tackle this huge task of dumping it and replacing it. It's a massive piece of work, daunting. Yet not for Stanford, and this is why. She's done the hard work and she has a plan. Many ministers have no plan. They follow their department. The thing about Stanford is she sets the priorities. She sets the pace. Crucially, in the complex world of education and all the many thousands of voices, Stanford runs the show. Not some faceless bureaucrat. She's got them right in beside her. She's got them on board. Those who oppose what she does, they're gone. She has the Education Secretary right beside her and on board. That's the first thing. The weakest and most ineffective ministers are led by their officials. It means not much gets done. A little bit, but not much. But to run the show, you have to know what you're doing, you see. So you've got to read everything, know everyone, bring them all together. You have to work harder than everyone else, basically. And she clearly has done that. I could only name a few ministers over, well, how long have I been? 25, 30 years covering this stuff, that truly ran the show and not their department. Helen Clark, I'll name them now. Helen Clark, Michael Cullen, Annette King, Chris Finlayson, John Key, Bill English, Stephen Joyce, Rodney Hyde didn't suffer fools, and David Seymour actually is becoming a contender in the space as well. And I'll now add to that Stanford. It's a pretty impressive list to keep company in, isn't it? So Stanford has the Education Ministry boss on board, and that's crucial because they've got to make this happen. So there's no point having someone there that opposes you. She also has heard what the principals have had to say. She's got all the best principals around her as well. Crucially, she's kept them close, though her eyes and ears on the ground. Even the traditionally difficult unions have been largely supportive. And the best Labour can come up with today is they're worried the changes could be rushed. Rushed? It's 3 years away. There's another 6 months of consultation, and we've waited 23 years to change this shit system. That's not rushed. When you say that in politics, it's proof you have nothing else. Labour might be best to say nothing. 23 years of failure requires a change as soon as possible. Labour has little option but to join this waka and support Stanford. Parents will not appreciate politics being played over their kids any longer or any further. We've had a guts full of it. It's time for both sides to come together, and there are some things in politics that are simply too important to point score over. Report after report has shown this system to be broken. Labor did nothing. Now they must get in behind it. They knew it was broken. Hipkins knew it was broken. What did he do? Deafening silence. Interesting, and just my take on this as well. But from my observations from this morning's news conference and event, when Luxon got up as Prime Minister, I felt like he was reading his notes. He was monotone. He wasn't disinterested or disengaged, but he was just, I think it was flat. He could have been anywhere announcing anything. But when Stanford got up, and you expect this from someone like her, she had huge energy. She spoke from the heart, barely referred to her notes, and engaged the audience. It was highly impressive. And of course, this is her baby, and it's going to be, of course, and Luxon has everything else to worry about. But I just thought that it was standout. And her connection with people in the crowd was genuine, authentic, and real. It's taken 23 years to get here, and it will take a few more before the new qualification comes into play. But for 23 years, we've let those teenagers down who entered the NCEA system. Now, I know Erica will say shortly that, oh no, but it's still an okay qualification if you've taken it. But the truth is, it's a second-rate qualification. Where are they now, these people? How have they gone on? It's appalling that a generation, or even wider than that, 23 years, has come through and gone through the school. And I wonder really how that group has fared in life. You know, we passed everyone, but it's a fraud to pass people who aren't up to it. We've sent them out into the war zone armed with a plastic straw. It's a lie, it's fraudulent, it's negligent. And employers know this only too well. They've been there, they've employed them. The country's top principals, like former Westlake head David Ferguson, Auckland Grammar's Tim O'Connor, and Mount Albert Grammar's Patrick Drum, have been screaming out for change for years. So impatient, they instituted their own changes in their schools because they couldn't wait. They didn't want to keep doing this poor system, NCEA. But finally, they have a minister who more than gives us stuff. She's turned her words and promises into action, whereas the 9 ministers of education before her tinkered and sent our kids out into the world unprepared. I'm talking about education ministers Trevor Mallard, Steve Mahari, Chris Carter, Anne Tolley, Heki Aparata, Nikki Kay, Chris Hipkins, Jay Antonetti, and now Erica Stanford's making the change. Taken 9 of these ministers to stop the rot. I wish her good luck. I urge all sides to get in behind it. Our kids deserve a decent system. Being guinea pigs in a failed system had to end. So well done to Stanford for doing this. In many ways, she stamped her mark, I think, as a future leader of this National Party. She won't say so. She won't entertain talk about it. She works hard. She communicates clearly. She has a plan and she appears sensible. They could do a lot worse.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Okay, the Minister joins me shortly. Also, I will ask you. Also, let's put on the table as well the social media under 16 ban. I think that's crucial work that they're also doing, and I think that needs to be instituted as soon as possible. And also the impact of the cell phone ban on our kids' learning. But of course, the big one today is NCEA, and the Minister joins me now. Erica, nice to see you. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. I've been wanting to get you in here for some time. So well done today. It's a big day.
It was a huge day. It's been a long time coming. We've spent a lot of time thinking about this and getting advice from the sector. This was sector-led, and then it was nice to go out with it today to find out what New Zealanders think about this, what parents and students think.
Yeah, and there could be two schools of thought there. The parents that have had their kids in NCEA go, whoa, how bad has it been? And those will be excited to have a new qualification. It's been a disaster, hasn't it, NCEA?
Well, there's certainly been challenges, and they've been known for a long time. And there are a number of principals in the room this morning at my media announcement who said to me, I've been waiting 22 years for this. And so I think, look, successive governments have tried to fix around the edges, but it's just a standards-based assessment qualification framework does not work. No other countries we compare ourselves to who are advanced economies, who have got excellent education systems, do what we do.
It's just not recognised anywhere.
No, it's not. And, you know, a lot of people will look at what we're doing and go, well, it looks relatively straightforward and simple. But I tell you what, it's been a year of getting to this point.
So effectively, you took office and started work on it pretty much immediately.
Well, in opposition, actually, I was involved with seeing what the previous government were doing around a new level 1, and I had a briefing from the Ministry of Education on it. And I remember saying to them at the time, I can see what you're doing. I can see you're trying to get kids to sit exams and have fewer, smaller standards so that there's better packages of learning. But with the way that the standards-based works and the credit harvesting, they can still choose to do whatever they like.
Yeah,
You're not
do.
solving the problem,
So
and it turns out I was right.
Way out. So there's easy ways out, and Pat Drum and David Ferguson and principals like that have said to me over the years, this is just, no one fails. No one fails. It's so easy. You don't know where the people are at the end of the day. So as a parent, merit, achieved, excellence, what does it mean?
No, and even in those, I remember my daughter saying to me, "I only have to do the excellence questions to get excellent, Mum." And I said, "You don't have to answer all the questions?" So like I've already said today, I have to be honest. I didn't understand NCEA when she was going through it. It was baffling. It was overly complex, but that complexity was marking a decline in standards because from PISA we've declined drastically in the last 20 years, and yet our NCEA results have got better. So how are those two things true?
It's a fraud. I mean, we're lying to the world. We're lying to our employers, and they get it because when our graduates turn up, the employers go, "Hang on a second, this isn't right."
We've got to be careful though, because while I accept that there are many things about NCEA that do need to be changed because of the over complexity and the amount of flexibility that's gone too far, I do want to be clear though that if you have NCEA, it is still a good qualification. My daughter has it now. She's about to do level 3. My son is going to be the last cohort going through. He's year third form, year 9 this year.
Year 9, yeah.
And we could have chosen to do IB. They do it at Rangitoto where he is, but we have chosen NCEA. So
it's still worth something.
It is. And those children who are doing it should feel very proud of their accomplishments. Right. But it can be so much better, and that's what we're focused on doing.
So before you, there were 9 ministers of education. I've been through it. Well, both shades, both parties, obviously. And it's taken you to do it. How big a work program is it? I mean, how difficult? A lot of them would have said, well, we're not quite ready for change yet. A lot of them would have said, we haven't got the full reports. But a number of the last few ministers, they knew what was going on and chose not to do it. You chose to do it. Why?
Well, it's too important not to do, for a start, and I came in here to make a difference. And you can see our big education reform program started with primary and intermediate, with structured literacy, with the new maths and English, year by year, knowledge-rich curriculum, a change from the teaching practice away from being sort of mere facilitators of student-focused, student-centred learning to direct instructional teaching in a more structured and explicit way. And that change has happened in the last 18 months, and now we're ready to say, okay, now we're going to have these children coming through who are competent in reading, writing and maths and are at curriculum. Then what does our high ambition for our secondary schooling look like? And this is it. So
how you described our PISA going down, but our NCEA going up and our results going up, which happened for, I think it's been more than 15 years of the decline. Why did we simply allow that to happen? Because we looked at those results and it can't be true. Every year you're looking at a fraud and no one did anything about it.
I think one of the things you've got to know about the education sector is you need to have everybody coming with you. It is very difficult. The ministry, the unions, the sector, and I've worked really, really hard, and I hope teachers and principals can see that I've very much tried to be everywhere, engage. I write my number on the bottom of letters I write to them. I expect them to call me. We have been I know we're working at pace, but we've been very reactive. When they ask us to do something, we do it. And so I really do have tried to build a semblance of respect, I hope, through that process. And having them, I feel, with me, and the unions who are not super against me.
No, they're not actually.
Never going to be with me, but,
no.
Having all that in place, I think we're in the place now where teachers and principals, they want the same thing. They want the best for their kids too.
So I've spoken to a lot of people about this, and the one thing everyone comes back to me with is your cooperation and collaboration, which a lot of ministers can get quite. I mean, go back to Trevor Mallard. He just dumped it on Invercargill. They were losing their schools. So there's all sorts of edginess with ministers. You have the difference I've seen with you, and I've had this confirmed through different parts of the sector, is that you want to work with everyone. Like, you genuinely want to work with them and get a result. And I think even the unions today have been pretty mild in their they haven't even criticised it. And even Labour could only come up with, we don't want it rushed. Well, don't worry, it's been 23 years, it's not been rushed. I mean, so even Labour could only come up with that tired-old line, which is, let's not rush it.
Yeah, it's true. I think a couple of things there. The first thing is actually having someone in this position who, I don't have an education background. So I'm not a teacher.
Yep.
And I know what I don't know, but I know who does know. And those are the people that I've surrounded myself with. Excellent staff who are ex-teachers, excellent principals, educators who are helping guide this work. And you saw I got a group of about 20 principals together to help guide this work. It's all driven by the sector. They told me they wanted learning support coordinators. We did it. They told me they wanted more teacher aides. We did it. They told me that reading and writing was going backwards. And I went into classrooms and said, what is going wrong? And they were like, we need to be teaching structured literacy. And we did it. So it's very much been sector-led. I know what I don't know, but I know they know. And so that's been very important.
Being a parent of teenagers as well, it's quite useful because you are the guinea pig. Like you get a report back and you look at it and you can't make head or tail of it, then something's wrong. Because if the report's confusing, then the learning's confusing and the teaching's confusing because no one can work it out.
It's really hard to help guide your children through something you don't understand yourself. I mean, A, M and E, bad enough. I remember my daughter coming home in year 9 with an R. And I remember my husband at the time said, I still don't know. I remember my husband at the time saying, I have a degree. And I cannot understand this and I give up. Like, it was just one of those moments where we're both like, this doesn't make sense.
Do you think it was deliberately confusing? Because, I mean, too many people in a committee organising this qualification, and then it becomes just, too many voices. And it's just not, like your qualification that you're coming up with, to me, what you outlined this morning looks simple. It's going to be exams. It's going to be a bit old school.
It does look a little bit like that, but when you look at all of the countries we compare ourselves to, these with advanced economies and highly performing education systems and their qualifications frameworks, it looks very similar. There is a curriculum that is knowledge rich, that lays out what has to be taught and gained each year in a carefully sequenced way that you work your way through, and then you're assessed against it. Yeah. It's relatively straightforward. We overly complicate things and we keep doubling down on things in this country that don't work, like balanced literacy. Let's look at the picture and guess the word for 20 years.
I know. So we need Labour on board with this because we can't have another change. Yeah. There's some things in life and in politics that you need to have bipartisan support on. This is one of them.
Yep, I've been very clear about that. I have from the start that this is too important not to have bipartisan support on our national qualification that we can all be proud of and stand behind. And I hope very much that there is that cross-party support.
So you've rung the education spokesperson, or you've emailed them, or you've reached out? Yeah,
of course.
They've got back to you?
You will need to talk to them about that.
They haven't got back to you?
You'll need to speak to them about that.
Okay. Where do we want to be then? So this comes in, and give it a couple of years before it comes in, and then where do you expect to see our PISA results? How will we see our international comparisons compare to the rest of the world? Do you expect to see immediate improvement, or what's the test of success?
There's a number of tests of success. We are doing twice yearly assessments from next year in reading and writing maths every year from year 3. It's a light touch, low stakes check-in so parents can see how their children are progressing. So they'll start to see immediately that progression. Yep. And it'll be really the first time we've had a consistent nationwide tool that assesses student progress across every student. Not only is that important for parents to know where their kids are at, but for me, managing $20 billion of public money and having no data has been like you're flying blind. So that'll be
who
important.
Spends $20 billion and doesn't have any data on results?
Well, not many people, but then they get bad results, right? And that's what's been the case for us. I think also there are a number of international assessments we do. We're involved in. There's PISA, which is the OECD one, which is at age 15. But there's also PIRLS and TIMS. They're done at primary school. So that's your English and science and maths. Those will be very good as well, indicators. Firstly, we need to arrest the decline. That's the first thing. What we are doing in terms of this entirely new shift towards this more structured, explicit way of teaching, it's going to take us 5 years to implement. It is a massive shift for teacher pedagogical practice.
So it'll take 5 years before we start to see any results?
No, I'm hoping we'll start to see, firstly, arrest in the decline. That's can we not have another dot point on the decline chart,
How
please?
rapid is the decline at the moment?
Well, you can go back and look at all of our...
It's every year, step down.
Yeah, it is. It has been. We do sample testing. It's been called NMSSA in the past, and now it's called CIPS, CIPS, Curriculum Insight and Progress Study, where we take a few thousand kids and we measure them. We've got a benchmark. We did a benchmark. It was terrible. 20% of kids at curriculum for maths by the time they go to high school.
Saw that.
How
bad's that? But we the problem is we let them go on to high school. Now, back in our day, I don't know, but we were held back.
Well, you're old when you say back in my day.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I find myself saying it too.
No, but and I promise not to say that. But in our day, in my fifth form year 11, I had guys beside me who'd already been in year 11. Like half our first 15 guys were sitting beside me. I was helping them with their homework. You know what I mean? Like, they were doing second year fifth.
Yeah.
And third year fifth in some instances. Now, we don't do that anymore, do we? We move them on.
We don't. We have a more flexible system where we can do different years learning in different years to try and hold children together. But those are conversations to be had. But look, I think that you will start to see an arrest of the decline, and then what we know from structured literacy is that we get an enormous acceleration of progress. So, I mean, I've been up to Kitty. I like talking about Kitty Primary because I've got an excellent principal, Dr. Sarah Brown. Yep. She got her Māori kids reading at the same level as every other child for the first time in the school's history, and the same with mathematics through structured maths.
It's a challenging area parts of that too, yeah.
And it's happening all over the country. Yeah. It's schools who've been doing structured literacy for some time. And I have a big shout out to them because they gave me the confidence to say, hey, we're mandating this across the country. If they hadn't gone out ahead and done it, we wouldn't have had the data. It's
interesting going to schools because you see huge differences between the schools as well. But it must be empowering going to the schools and seeing the work actually coming to fruition.
Oh, I tell you what, I was at Waimata School in the Coromandel Electorate. I was there with Scott Simpson, and I was it was a little country school, and I was in a classroom where the teacher had only been doing structured literacy for 10 weeks. She'd only just had her training. Yeah. And these teachers are saying things to me like, it's the best PLD I've ever had in my life. I learnt more in this PLD than all I did through teacher training. But I sat on the floor with her and her young students, and they had whiteboards, and they were changing might to mate to moat, and then going, moat's not a word, and
good.
But they were learning about the E and what it does at the end of the word to the vowel in the middle, and just watching it being taught in a structured, explicit way, and the kids all got it.
But they got it. Yeah.
And they were talking about the naughty E at the end of the word, and that those were 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
6-year-olds.
But if you get it at 5, you'll always get it. See, sometimes it's too late when you're in your 13, 14, let's pass them by.
Well, this is the science of learning that I keep banging on about that's in action, which is getting kids to put things in their long-term memory. They will never forget that. That's why there's the repetition, there's the serve and return that the teacher will say, you say it now, you say it now, you say it now, we all say it now, I write it, now you write it. It's quite fast-paced, but it is getting that in their long-term memory. That's why we used to chant our times tables.
Yeah. Well, in the toilet you had the poster, or in your bedroom, or whatever, the 1 times 1, 2.
Exactly. But you know
where's
what?
all that stuff gone?
So many schools don't teach times tables and get it into their long-term memory because we've had this thing that, rote learning is bad for your well-being or whatever it is. It is crucial. You can only hold so much stuff in your working memory. That is the science of learning.
How's it bad for your well-being?
I have no idea.
Like passing exams is good for your well-being because you're not failing and you actually feel better about yourself.
Yeah, well, and kids love knowing stuff. Yeah. And I tell you what, boys love competition. That's why they like the speedy times table stuff.
But it's not just that boys, and men. Like it never ends that competition. Now, I'm just wondering, teachers have said today, the union has said today, that they're on board. They'll look at this, but it's going to be a hell of a lot of work for teachers, and they will need more than 1% pay rise. So they're putting it on the table as saying, well, this is a pay negotiation thing. What's your reaction to that?
I think these two things need to be separated. Excellent teaching and learning and ensuring that children are achieving to the best of their abilities is the job of the education sector. We have pay negotiations every 3 years, and we'll continue to go through those, but this is core business of the sector, raising achievement.
But does this require more from teachers?
Look, I've taken a lot from the unions over the last couple of years in terms of teacher workload, and I've said today, I didn't say it in my stand-up, I didn't say it in the speech I gave, and it's not in the material, but what I have said to NZQA, who's our qualifications authority, have said to them, by 2028 when we roll this in, I want you to be in a position where every single assessment, internal, external, is marked by you externally. Take that load off teachers. It's one of the single biggest time sucks for them. Yeah. So they, how
are they going to do it?
Sorry?
How will NCEA do it? You need to beef them up.
AI, my friend. They're already doing it. And I'll tell you something. We are one of the world leaders. People don't know this. Even I didn't know this. What we do with our digital assessments, with our literacy and numeracy co-requisite, and so it's mostly digital, and then it's AI marked, most of it, means we can do it quickly. Wow. And it's world leading. People in other countries say to me, the ministers, we could only dream of that. Yeah. We're so far advanced. For a little country like New Zealand, we should be proud of that. But I'd say to them, I want to get to a position where by 2028 you can do this for everything. And so they are working at pace to get there to take that load off teachers.
So AI, so we've got the tools to mark all our external and internal assessments without hiring more people.
That's the plan.
And the AI is good enough?
It is. Well, they've already done a whole lot of moderation. They always check the results, and actually they're on par with, if not better than humans. It's amazing.
So this will take a huge load off teachers.
A huge load. So there's that, but having a clearer curriculum with exactly what to teach and when, and also, by the way, having children who are turning up at high school who are competent and at curriculum for reading, writing and maths and science. Because at the moment, the workload on those teachers at high school is phenomenal because they are having to make up for years.
I've spoken to them. They can't believe what they're getting when these kids turn up. They can't believe how far behind they are.
So the workload is will be reduced because we're getting kids at curriculum. We'll be taking away, the requirement to mark, having a clearer curriculum. But, of course, there will be an implementation process, but we've made sure it's carefully staged and rolled out over time. I went to my principal advisory group and said, what's the best way of doing this to manage teacher workload? And they've put forward their proposal, and now we'll go out to consultation.
So you're non-committal about the pay. You say that's for another day.
I think these two things need to be separated. Pay happens every 3 years. This is the core business of the sector,
right?
To raise achievement and make sure our kids are getting good qualifications.
I think one of the best things that this government's done in education is ban cell phones. I know it seems quite simple, and a lot of schools have already been there and done that, but it's a blanket ban. I initially was quite sceptical, but then when I realised actually this worked, spoke to principals, it's been great, isn't it?
It was interesting, the pushback. I remember my very first interview when we proposed this, and Labor said to me, "Oh, nanny state," and I said, "Well, if there's any time to be a nanny, it's literally when you're in charge of other people's children."
Exactly
for a
right.
start.
Yeah.
But actually, even the pushback from some of the principals who were like, now they're saying, "Oh my gosh, it is the best thing."
No, it is.
The bullying, the behaviour,
the
fact that
focus.
kids are interacting with each other for a change has been phenomenal, and it wasn't something that I expected to go this well, but it has.
It's incredible. At Mags, the principal and the senior teachers have told me they used to walk her outside in the lunchtime, and it was very quiet, kids on their phones. Now they walk out there and there's all this
noise,
ruckus noise, and they're back on the fields and they're engaging as social beings. And my son says this as well, it's incredible.
And parents want that. I mean, I struggle, like every parent, to get my kids off their devices.
Me
It is
too.
an everyday battle. It drives me
I want
nuts.
to cry
And
over it sometimes, to be honest.
I know, and knowing at school for 6 hours that they're not on that device, that I'm struggling to keep them off, it's quite nice, actually. And then whenever
It's
they
a
text me
relief.
from school, I'm always like, "Get off your phone."
Do you know, I was with some of the boys in the rugby team the other day, and I was dropping one of them home, this young fella, and I often say to them, "How many hours have you done on your phone? You know, how many daily? What's your daily use?" And they all get a bit embarrassed. They have this bit of a battle in the car. This one boy did 22 hours on a Sunday. He didn't sleep.
Man, that's
22 hours. Like, this is what, and you this won't surprise you. This is what they're doing. These kids. And I don't know. It's not socialising them into good. They're not human beings at that point.
No, and I worry also not only about the older kids but the younger kids, because we know that their oral language isn't great because they're not getting that serve and return. They're not being asked to speak back, so their oral language is poor, and we see it coming through into schools.
You do, eh?
Children who've got the oral language of a 2-year-old, we're having to make up for. But these older kids, I also worry about them with that constant stream of stuff that's being fed to them, and it's only short clips, right? So they're getting that lack of ability to concentrate on, like, reading a book, watching a movie.
They don't read books, and they can't. I've seen this. Their communication is poor. Their ability to listen to someone. So when we're coaching and everything, they fade away after about 10 seconds. Nothing, because the world of the internet is so exciting and bright and glitzy. Then they get into a maths class with a teacher they can barely understand and don't care about, and they don't care for the subject. And so this glitz is just been ruining them. It's just so disengaging for them, for the main stuff.
Well, that's another area I'm having to look at, obviously with another hat on, and my other portfolio or thing I've been given is to look at the use of social media for under 16s as well.
I totally support this ban.
Yeah, it's good. We're in a position where we can be fast followers and look at what other countries have done. There are a few options on the table. There's some things we can do that are relatively quick and straightforward, but they may not have as good an impact, or there's some things we can really get into quite a gnarly big piece of work. There's a lot of bits of legislation around it. I'm more keen to do that. I want to get it right.
Do you think we will ban social media for under 16s at some stage?
Yes.
At what point?
Well, I'm working on that now, and I want to be able to now have something in place before the next election, because that's what the Prime Minister has tasked me with doing. And it may well be that we stage it, so we do that first, and then the bigger pieces of legislation that sit around it, we might have to do next term, because they need careful consideration and quite detailed policy work.
And we will follow what Australia's doing, because they are more advanced down that pathway, so we will look at that.
We will. I'm not confident they've got it 100% right either. But there are a lot of countries who've tried this, and there's little bits that do work well. There's certainly some things in Australia that they have got right, and other countries as well. So we'll take a good look around the world, bring it together, and then we will be world leading. That's the task that I gave my officials. I said, whatever we do, we are part of a world leading team.
So you want to ban social media for under 16s by the next election, so the end of next year?
Have legislation in place, yes.
I think it's crucial. I think that alongside a good curriculum, about the banning under 16s, initially I was like, can you do it? But now, just as a parent, it's so crucial. Like,
not
I'm
really,
pleading with you to get this right.
Not really the party of banning things. Never
No, I
came into
know
politics
that.
to do that. But
No, I know that,
it's-
but-
you're right. As a parent, I hate it.
So do I. You go and pick up your son or do whatever from school, and they help and they jump on the phone. I'm like, so hello. That's not even half of it.
It's also the destructive things that they're seeing on there. And I've had personal experience with this, and I also met a girl who talked about, she's same age as my daughter actually. She was telling me some of the things that happened to her, and it is worse than you can imagine.
I've heard some terrible. Well, I've heard some stories. I've reported some stories, and some of the mistakes that they're making, these kids, because they're naive, they're young, they don't know.
No,
They've got these tools in their hands.
And often, they're going through that age which is really crucial, that sort of 13, 14, where they're very vulnerable. They're going through puberty. There's all these pressures, and then they've got this thing that's telling them, that cutting themselves is a good idea. I mean, it is really horrendous. And I tell you something, those social media companies do not give a damn about our kids.
I know.
I mean, if you haven't read Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams, who's a good friend of mine, you should, because boy, there's a bit in there about how they are targeting young girls who feel bad about their appearance.
Yeah, no, I've had Joe and Holly in here, and I've spoken at length. It is an evil empires. They're evil empires. And they want clicks, and now they're into the gaming as well.
And they want to get them when they're young, right? So,
well, they get them addicted because it's actually mind altering. Yeah. So what's your next big plan? You've done that. You've got the curriculum in hand. You've got the under-16s in hand. What's next? Well, you seem to be like a planner.
yes,
An
well,
organised woman.
we did plan a lot in opposition, and we had our 6-point, which turned into 7-point with property, plan and education, that we're lifting all these levers. There's still a lot more to do. Next year, we've got our assessment coming in, twice yearly assessment. We've got to roll that out well. I think really now we're in implementation phase, rolling out of the new curriculum, resourcing it properly, getting the professional learning and development in place, rolling out the twice yearly assessment, starting that good reporting to parents so that they can see how their children are
we
progressing.
want to see that clear stuff, yeah.
The parent portal's really important. Go there. It's got everything you need by curriculum area, by year group, up to year 8 at the moment. It'll continue. As to what your children should know, I really want to get parents back in the conversation. This is what your child should be learning at school. You are also responsible. And here's a whole lot of things you can do at home.
You're a really hands-on minister. A lot of ministers are hands-off, and they're run by the department. You seem to me you can actually make changes as a minister. They're actually quite crucial positions. A lot of ministers don't see it that way, but you seem to me to be one that is, you're hands on the portfolio. You are a change agent.
Well, you've got to go in with knowing what you want and being very clear about it. That's why the work in opposition I did with the girl who is now my ministerial advisor, who's just sitting out there.
Yeah.
We did that work together, that 6-point plan. So
Incredible.
we knew exactly what we wanted. We were very clear with the ministry, and we've taken it well to get them on board, but they're humming now.
Is there any other portfolios you want? I mean, is there anything else that you want to do? I don't know, it's probably been inappropriate, but do you know what I mean? Do you have any other sort of issues that you want to sort out?
Look, at this stage, I'm just so focused on education. I haven't even come up for breath. It's so important. I love it so. This is the best job I have ever had, or probably ever will have.
You
it's
could be
such
PM
a
one
privilege.
day, you never know.
I'm very focused on education. It's such a privilege and an honour to do this. And, you never know what's going to happen in the future in terms of, still being in the job or, being in government even. So just get on with it while
Good
you're
idea.
here.
No, well done. On behalf of all the parents of New Zealand, I think they'll be welcoming this. So go well. Thanks, Erica. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Awesome.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Right, it is time to do the editor. I just want to say a couple of things before we do that, though. Interestingly, out of there, AI is now going to be marking the kids. AI, how's that? AI will be marking kids. We don't have to hire thousands of markers. It'll be AI that does it, so there'll be consistency there. AI, marking your kids' exams. And also on the pay rise, no commitment there to more than 1%. And also, interesting, around social media. Social media ban before the election next year. They're still on track, which I think is crucial as well. Right, let's lead it to. Hi, Duncan. I'd just like to say thank you. It's nice to have someone influential in the media that will listen to us. Greyhound Racing's 100 transparent years old, and we love our dogs. I have a retired hound on my couch and 3 others still racing. Please keep fighting for all of us in the industry, especially trainers who are about to lose their livelihoods. Training greyhounds is a 24/7 job. These are amazing people. Don't get to go on holiday like the average Kiwi, not even a weekend away. You're a legend, Duncan. It's nice. Thank you very much. Stacey McCarthy, greyhound handler and owner. Thank you very much. Bit embarrassed by that, but I don't know if I am. Okay, that's us, folks. Thanks for all your feedback and support. Get in touch through our social media, Duncan Garner Podcast, TikTok and Instagram. Flick us an email, duncan@rover.nz. To my team, thanks, guys. We'll do it again. tomorrow. No surprise. Remember, life's no dress rehearsal. No curtain raiser. This is it. Live one of the best places on earth, so let's get out and enjoy it. And look after yourselves. Have a great day. Take care. Good evening.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.